Mike Perry, Vicente Luque, and Rafael dos Anjos, all widely regarded as having extremely good chins, and all been knocked out by Geoff Neal, who is without a doubt the hardest puncher at welterweight, and for a time was even considered the best boxer at welterweight until Jack Della Maddalena came along. But regardless, we're going to break down Geoff Neal's style and why he is the scariest puncher at 170 pounds. This is because of his gliding footwork, his solid guard, his southpaw jab, his incredible left straight, underrated kicks, and amazing takedown defense. So, let's start with his footwork. Geoff Neal has a very unique style of footwork, moving around laterally on the outside and often bringing his feet together when he exits, similar to a Dominic Cruz, but having a more powerful stance that allows him to explode into range and stalk people against the fence when he needs to, when he's trying to land his power shots. Solid guard. Geoff Neal, as he is mainly a boxer, has a very boxing-like guard, keeping his hands high, his elbows tucked, and just being overall responsible when he throws his hands, bringing them back up, putting his hands up when he comes into range, when he exits out of range, just overall being responsible. He's also very proficient at blocking and checking kicks, having a very traditional Muay Thai style of checking, while also being able to roll his head under punches quite effectively and counter if he needs to, and just overall just being good at defending kicks as well. Southpaw jab. Because Geoff Neal is a southpaw, the jab has a bit of a different purpose. Like many other southpaws, he pumps it out to get outside foot position to help line up the left hand, or bait out openings to make the left hand easier to land. He does this constantly against all of his opponents, but here we see a lot of him doing this against Bilal, stepping on the right hand to close the distance, and nailing him with the left hand. We even see in the third round when he drops him, he rocks Bilal with a stiff jab, and then that allows him to land the left hand after that drops him. Or against Vicente Luque, jabs to bait out an exchange, baits out Luque's jab, and then cracks him with the left hand over the top, or just, jabbing him, slipping right, left hand, and just being extremely effective with the jab, making good use of it. The left straight. The most important part of Geoff Neal's game, and he just has such a good left straight. It is picture perfect. It is fast, it is powerful, it is technically sound, and he's so good at setting it up. And his setups for it are actually quite simple. A long right hand to cover the distance, and then just extending out the left straight. He really does cover a lot of distance and get really great extension, just landing with the end of his punches, maximizing the amount of reach he can get. And opponents are often caught thinking, they're out of range or they've timed a defense, when really they just get nailed with the left hand really cleanly. And this happened a lot against Bilal. He would jab, left hand, or Bilal would go for a body shot, left hand, Bilal would go for a kick. Neal would step through, left hand, just constantly just drilling openings for the left hand, taking out angles, being responsible, pulling out of the way afterwards, or being aggressive when he needs to. Just get bread and butter with the left hand. Simple, but supremely effective. Now, against Vicente Luque, he didn't need to use his jab as much, as Luque just kind of kept a high guard with MMA gloves and didn't move his head at all. So Neal was either able to jab, bait out Luque's jab and slip and counter it, or he would be able to just throw the left hand down the center and time it well, so Luque would just put up no defense to it other than that high guard, which can be split with 4-ounce gloves. And it essentially just allowed him to dismantle Luque till Luque eventually was brutally knocked out and nearly had his career ended. But again, Geoff Neal's left straight is just absolute money. Underrated kicks. Being such a powerful southpaw who has an extremely good left straight, it's no surprise that Geoff Neal does like to throw his rear kick a lot, particularly his head kick, but he has very good body kicks, taking off the outside angle and landing great body kicks on both Belal Muhammad and Mike Perry, just using that jab to open up the angle. Or, as you see against Mike Perry, as Perry's coming in, head kick straight to the dome. Middle top part of the shin, hardest part of the shin, right to Mike Perry's head, finishes him off with punches. Or against Belal, after nailing him with the left hand so many times, getting him to slip on it, and then eventually just flicking up the left high kick and dropping Belal for the second time in a round. Just really, really brutal stuff. Amazing takedown defense. You can't beat an extremely powerful striker effectively in the UFC without having good takedown defense. And Geoff Neal has such good takedown defense. Could not be taken down by Belal Muhammad, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Neil Magny. Not a lot of people have tried to out-grapple him, but those that have failed. Geoff Neal has extremely good timing on his takedown defense, getting an overhook and then getting a crossface or like getting an underhook and sort of bringing up the head. As you know, where the head goes, the body follows, right? If you're defending a takedown and you push their head down, they can't rise up. If you push their head up, they can't drive through. And Geoff Neal is just really good at doing that. He has a good base, good strong hips, and just overall he is quite strong, allowing him to post in positions for long periods of time when most people would not be able to. And eventually he can just chuck off Belal or other opponents, just defending takedowns quite easily. And even when Belal does get him to the ground, he's able to roll with it and use a butterfly hook to get back to his feet immediately. And then as the fight goes on, his takedown defense gets better. It's a lot stronger with it. He gets better with the timing, anticipating the shots before Belal gets to the hips. You see that in the beginning of the fight, Belal gets to the hips and then Neal defends. Later in the fight, Belal can't get to the hips and Neal defends before he gets there, just kind of framing away and just using his footwork. Because his lateral footwork, as I mentioned before, is also very, very important when it comes to defending takedowns. So Geoff Neal has really built an effective game in amplifying his power strikes while nullifying the amount of grappling his opponents can do to him. While Geoff Neal has come up short to the likes of Shavkat Rakhmonov, Ian Gary, and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, his skills still can't be denied. He's a very good boxer with very good takedown defense, great chin, and really, really, really strong hands. And he can be an issue for anyone at welterweight at any given time. And he fights Carlos Prates at UFC 314. Prates has 4 straight knockouts in the UFC, 4 straight wins, making an absolute tear through the 170-pound division. But he's still relatively untested, fighting good but not great opponents. And a lot of people think Geoff Neal will be a good litmus test for him, and Geoff Neal can possibly expose some holes in Prates' boxing game, as we've seen Prates outboxed by Trevin Giles. Now, that was his debut, so we can cut him some slack. It still may be something that Geoff Neal can further expose. But regardless, I'm very excited to see that fight, as it's 2 knockout artists going head-to-head on one of the most stacked cards of the year. So let me know your thoughts on Geoff Neal as a whole, on the matchup between him and Prates, and just anything else down in the comments. And that's the breakdown, guys. So, see ya.